Hi, I'm Don Mooers, and welcome to Montgomery Week in Review. Police, I won't call it hassles, but certainly stopping and confiscating those things from drivers and others are issues that Henry Hailstock is going to talk to us about. All these things happened after 9/11, and Henry's here to tell us about why we should be concerned about it. Second story is Stuart Rosenthal of the Beacon newspaper. He's here to talk about the upcoming Over 50 Expo, and especially the great keynote speaker who will be both in Virginia and Maryland, a great inventor of almost everything that we have to use as we get older. Our third guest is Jane DeWinter. It's hard to call Jane DeWinter a guest. She's a regular on Montgomery Week in Review. She's here to talk to us about what's going on in this school year, the 2014-2015 school year, some of the adjustments we'll be making, including news about the unaccompanied minors who've come to Montgomery County. Finally, we're going to talk about leveling the playing field. We've got Max Levitt, the founder of Leveling the Playing Field, that takes equipment that's been donated and puts it to work with children in our community who are participating in sports programs. Henry Hailstock, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I should say welcome back. I mean, you're one of our favorite guests, and it's always great to see you. After our summer break, here you are.
Can I pay you later for that?
Exactly. Listen, you're talking today about a subject not many of us had heard of as we were talking before this show, and that is this police confiscation of money and other goods. What set the scene for us here?
The general public may not really be truly aware of what's happening, that most of the police forces in the United States, not just here in Montgomery County, are getting more aggressive in confiscating and seizure of cash primarily.
Can I just carry cash? What's going on? I don't understand
Well, back in September 9/11, 2001, right. Homeland Security asked for local jurisdictions as well as the state jurisdictions to be more aggressive on the highway in helping them be the eyes and ears for them.
So for the cash, this is the issue of people sending cash to terrorist organizations around the world?
That, and also 3 decades ago, we had what you call the Equitable Sharing Act, okay, which was primarily made so that we could stop the drug trafficking here in the United States. We're talking about people carrying millions of dollars and laundering money as well. But what has really turned out to be what public is not really aware of, and the Washington Post brought to light this past weekend, is that the police force are getting more and more aggressive in the stop and seizure, and they don't need warrants or having to be indicted for any kind of crime. They confiscate cash, and it's up to the owners to prove that they got the cash legally.
Before we open this up, so I could be driving down the road.
Yes.
And I've got cash because I'm putting cash in. I got helping a church or helping something.
Or have a business.
And
making a deposit or something.
Right, making a deposit. And police can come up to me and just stop me, search my car, and find cash?
Yes. Yes.
That is atrocious.
I'll be honest with you, the Homeland Security and Justice Department pay millions of dollars to train the police force to work on this intervention. And basically they have the private sector organizations, firms, who are training the officers. They have, there's one firm that even put together this black asphalt networking and notification system to work with the police force so that they can report and have interaction and really tell other police forces who they should be looking out for, tattoos that people have.
Okay.
And unfortunately, they share all this information with federal and state agencies, which can be a problem because you have their social security number, you have whether they have tattoos.
Let's stay on the
But some of the things, I mean, I did read the Post article. It was a series that appeared, and it did seem as though people could presumably be stopped because, okay, maybe a taillight is out or maybe you crossed the center line, little things like that. And then they asked to search your vehicle. And it seems as though if you have any kind of amount of cash, then just the fact that you're carrying cash is the probable cause to suspect that it's drug money or for some other legal reason. I mean that's not really
Yeah.
probable cause, but that's the excuse. It's almost like the fact that you are carrying cash means that you did something
The
wrong.
majority of the cash seized is under $8,000. So that gives you an idea of what they're doing. And a lot of the cash that's procured is helping fund some of these agencies and organizations, which is against federal law, because they're saying the confiscated cash is not to support salaries or departments.
What are they supposed to do with the money?
Well, they hold it. And be honest with you, under 50%, I would say something like 40% of the people who have been in this situation have really filed legal action to get their money back.
Well, can we say that then they're over 50% successful because those individuals who haven't followed up might be indeed drug
they just
or
let it go.
terrorism related?
They just let it go.
Well, it costs more
primarily
to
because
hire a lawyer.
Yes, the money legally, and it takes over a year for everything to be settled. And really, 44% of the ones that have filed for legal action, the government has returned their money. But most of them have signed statements saying that they will not sue the police force.
What I found fascinating that was in that article was that a lot of times when people have procured a lawyer and pursued, getting their money back, the police come up with a settlement like, well, we'll give you half of it back. Well, if they think they're right, that it really came from some illegal source, why are you offering to give any of it back?
Well, as I said,
We got about 30 seconds left.
this money is supporting a lot of the salaries and departments in a lot of municipalities. And I tell people that they're not supposed to search, but I would say pursue it. You have people that had their funds confiscated, went out of business.
This is crazy.
Yeah,
This is crazy. Well, I hope we hear more about this.
I hope so
to
too.
come up.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Henry.
You're welcome.
Stuart,
Yes.
the Over 50 Expo coming up.
Right, we don't confiscate anything from anybody.
Well, and who is this Mr. Inventor of everything?
We have this great keynote speaker. His name is Robert Fischel. In fact, he is our cover story for our September issue. So if you've seen this month's
I looked through it. It's a great issue.
Good.
People need to read it.
So, I mean, we did this story about this guy. He is the inventor of, among other things, among 200 patents, the rechargeable pacemaker. So they can put a pacemaker in someone, instead of having to take it out when it runs out, they can recharge it inside the system. The implantable insulin pump, if you have diabetes, instead of having to prick your finger in and give yourself injections, it's automatic, it's inside your body. The flexible coronary stent, which has saved millions of lives from heart attacks. 10 million of his stents are in people all over the world. And he's just come out with a new device which is supposed to prevent migraine headaches. I mean, one thing after another, and he's 85 years old, and every day he works all day long developing new ideas and new products. It's just an incredible guy.
What's his background?
Well, you'll read the story.
Yeah, so don't spoil it here. Spoiler alert.
He majored in physics in college.
Okay.
He has a doctorate, I believe, in physics.
Okay.
But he's not a medical doctor. He's a biomedical engineer. He just developed this experience on his own. And he said he just always had this knack that whenever he heard of a problem, he thought about it, and within a minute or two, he thought, well, this would be a good solution. And then he'd start to work on it.
Wow.
And that's how he came up with all these devices. Like, well, why don't we have a rechargeable place? Why don't we have an implantable? He just thought, well, let's do this, and then he did.
What a great story. Now, that's a nice segue into the Expo.
The Expos,
So
right.
Tell us all about the Expos.
Well, we have our Expos every year in the fall. We're going to be October 19th, Sunday, at the Silver Spring Civic Center. From
Because
noon to 4.
White Flint Mall is no longer
know,
open.
Yes, we were in White Flint Mall for a decade or more.
Right.
But now we're at the Silver Spring Civic Center, where we were last year.
Right.
Very nice facility. It works great. And
Great
then the
place.
following Sunday, the 26th of October, we'll be at Ballston Mall on the 3rd floor, where we've also been for a number of years, and which also is going to be closing up after this year. So they're going to be rebuilding the whole
Are
Ballston
you
Town
a
Center.
jinx, or?
Yeah.
Must be some connection, I have to say.
Well, luckily,
Quite right.
Arlington's got a lot of great places, venues.
So,
But let's talk
in
about
addition to our speaker, of course, we have the usual health screenings
Yeah.
and flu shots and all kinds of exhibitors and nonprofits and government agencies.
classes too, right?
All kinds of business. Well, we have a class this year that we have not had before.
Okay.
This is new. The Beacon's getting into technology and innovation now. We have a new section on that subject, and we're combining all the different stories that relate to health or financial or other aspects of the digital world for older adults, and trying to explain things and get them more accustomed and used to it. So in conjunction with that, we're working with AARP to have hands-on digital device classes at our Silver Spring Expo. Now, I can say this is what we're hoping to have, but it's not yet for sure. But AARP just last week announced that it is producing its own tablet, the AARP RealPad with Intel.
Okay.
And it's a specially designed tablet for older adults, preloaded with the software and the applications and the interesting videos to teach you how to do things and how to use the machine.
Right.
It has a quick fix item so that if something goes wrong with your Wi-Fi or your Bluetooth or whatever, you can just hit one click and it fixes it automatically.
It's not like a little plastic hammer? You just knock at it until it works?
I think you need to take the class, Don. All kinds of great features to it, and hopefully, even though it's not going to be available publicly till the end of October, early November, we're going to have it at our Expo.
Cool.
And people will get a chance to take classes and hold on to it and use it and learn how it works.
I wish I'd known that because I just bought one.
Well, and since some of us here are actually old enough to be members of AARP, I'm just curious now, as baby boomers who, I have a smartphone. I mean, we probably all do, whatever. What's the age where people start saying, okay, this is the cohort that really is unfamiliar with?
It depends on the person, of course. I mean, everybody's different.
But around here, yeah.
I mean, there's definitely a drop-off in terms of use of digital devices as you add each decade as you move on. Over 75 really is the group that's the least familiar with and accustomed to it. But there are plenty of people. I mean, I haven't figured out everything that my phone does. I always need help for that kind of thing. By the way, the AARP pad comes with 24-hour tech support, including live people on the phone. So, I mean, there are all kinds of nice things about it. I hope we have it. If we don't, then we'll have either a smartphone or an iPad class.
We've got about a minute left. Tell us some more in the Beacon, in the Expo.
Okay, well, so we want everybody to come. It's free. Noon to 4 on October 19th, October 26th. What have I left out? Let's see. We have, all the exhibitors are all different sorts. I mean, we have housing communities, we have home remodelers. If you're looking for financial advice, fitness, fitness centers. If you're looking for financial advice or legal advice, I mean, it runs the gamut.
People who might not be familiar with the Civic Center, they know that there's parking right across the street from it.
Very good point. Very good point.
And Silver Spring is the 19th, and Arlington is the 26th. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay.
Right. Bring your friends, and
we've got about 30 seconds left. Give us a health thing besides the inventor. Tell us something exciting, earth-shattering in the Beacon.
Oh, okay. Well, I told you they have a new tech section. So, so one of the articles is it's not that earth-shattering, but it's there are different kinds of sources and gadgets out there to help people stay at home. Everybody wants to stay at home as they age. They don't want to have to move. Well, we have an article about a service which actually provides all kinds of these things for you to make your children, your adult children, comfortable that you're there by yourself and makes you feel more safe, peace of mind.
Bottom line, read the September Beacon. You'll never be sorry.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after these messages.
Well, that's good to know.
I don't want to stay.
And we're back, Jane. Always great to see you.
Nice to be back.
I think about schools, education. I mean, you're so much more than that as a PhD economist and leader in this community. But education, you've dedicated your these last years to making our school system stronger, kids stronger. What's going on? 2014-2015 school year. We're now a couple weeks in at the time of this taping.
Well, it's record enrollment for
again
2,800 more children than last year. Wow. Actually, like the official count doesn't come out till a little bit later, but that was what they were predicting.
That's more than that's schools.
That's definitely it's more than a high school and an elementary school together.
Do we have any new schools?
We have one new school in Clarksburg called Wilson Wims, and it opened up that drew from Little Bennett and Cedar Grove.
Okay.
And so that's going well. And in fact, they're piloting this thing where the kids are getting tablets.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're starting to see that in a lot of private schools where that's a part of the thing as all the kids get tablets.
Right.
Can a school system afford it?
Well, they had a lot of money in last year's budget to purchase tablets, and part of it is to, the kids will take some assessments on it, and the teachers have gotten some training on how to use it to, to assist curriculum. It's not supposed to be just, this great gadget, this toy, whatever. It's supposed to be enhancing
That's a key
education.
Part of it. Yeah. No, my wife is an educator, and she's gone through those instructions, and it's been, very wonderful for her, but that's a lot of tablets. I take it that Apple donates them.
I actually don't even know what kind they are.
Yeah. School systems need to be into today's age. I mean, you have children that are already ahead of a lot of the adults with this technology. But just think of how it would help educators doing homework, not only there but at home, and doing streaming for shared help.
And how do we pay for it, Henry? I
Sponsorships.
just asked you. I mean, that's the thing.
Sponsorships. I'm serious. You get Comcast, you get Cox, you get some of the other companies to help out.
Well,
I mean, why not?
All right. What else is going on? We got that schools open up.
Well, and according to Montgomery County, there was an article in the Post again that said that there's about 800 kids who have come as unaccompanied minors from South and Central America recently, and the school system reports they don't know the total number of those 800 that have enrolled, but they do have 57 kids who were enrolled that have no family here. In other words, they were placed in the school system. Still within social welfare system, and there's probably a lot more of those kids who are living with a family member or who have been reunited with parents who are enrolled, so that there's a significant number of kids who are enrolled in school.
Are they getting additional services? Are they being looked after?
Well, they definitely, the idea is that they are supposed to have access to counseling, school counselors, school psychologists, and that a lot of these kids come having maybe experienced some trauma during the journey, maybe having had traumatic experience in their home country, and it's also very difficult for them to perhaps be reuniting with parents who they haven't seen. Most of them don't speak
English. They don't know the language either, so it's so many hurdles.
And within our school system, we got something called the METS program, and a number of these schools were helping with war-torn or refugee kids, and it's a tough
but there's
road.
a need, and there's also the sense that a lot of times having somebody outside your own family to talk to, because if you're having kind of trouble adjusting to the fact that now all of a sudden after 8 years you're living with your parents that you don't know, it's nice to talk to someone else.
Let's hope we've learned lessons, because the last time we had a flood of these kids come over 15 years ago, 20 years ago, we failed them miserably. They turned into gang members, and they went back and started and did all the gang activities that have driven this next group of kids. So let's hope we're not incubating a new
they're coming to avoid that kind of activity.
We got about a minute left.
Well, I think that it's going to be an interesting year in terms of kind of academics and curriculum, because there are a number of issues that are sort of holdovers. The math finals, secondary school math final scores, end of the school year had another dismal.
What are we doing?
Oh,
Has math changed?
There's been problems with the way math has been taught for years. First there was an issue where they were keeping kids out from, moving ahead when they could. They also had what was called a spiral curriculum, that you touched on everything every year, but not in detail. Then they've tried to change it. Kids have had big gaps, but so they still have not figured out what's going on with that.
One of these years we will
20 seconds left.
We will learn that individuals learn differently.
Right, right.
Okay, one final thing.
And then I think last year there was a lot of talk in 4th and 5th grade about report cards getting rid of all letter grades. And so parents are continuing to have some difficulty kind of deciphering what that means about how their kids are doing.
Because everybody should be above average in
Right,
Montgomery
well
County.
apparently now it's maybe only 1% of the kids are above average.
And everybody else is special ed.
Right, well no.
Stay tuned for more, Jane. I mean, that is our thing. I want to get you started. Jane, thank you. I can't wait to be able to look at some of these issues as they evolve as the year goes on. Thanks, Jane. Max, welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back.
Well, you did so well your first time. They asked you to come. Not everyone. I'm going to tell you something. Not everyone gets asked back.
Really?
No, Max, you're something special.
Okay.
Leveling the playing field. Give us an update. First of all, tell us a little bit about the organization.
Yeah.
And then let's talk about what your challenges are and opportunities.
Yeah, so those who are not familiar with what we do, the goal is really to improve the opportunity for underserved kids to participate in youth sports, right? So, there's been a huge decline in youth sports participation in the county, in the state, in the district, and really just across the entire country. A lot of that has to do with the costs behind youth sports. So, using Montgomery County as an example, and this happens all over the country, youth sports used to be offered by public sector. So Montgomery County used to offer baseball, softball.
Yeah, the rec. Right.
Yeah, I mean, that was just how it worked.
Right.
And nowadays, for whatever reason, combination of a few factors, it's really offered by the private sector. So you see BCC baseball, you see MSI soccer. I mean, there are dozens of private sports leagues in this area. It's kind of nuts. And the reason is, I mean, people will pay the extra money to go play BCC baseball, get the nice fields, get the shirts, everything that goes behind BCC baseball. in they have high registration fees. So that leaves a lot of kids in this area, a lot of kids in the district unable to play sports. You know, for me growing up, it was easy. I could play BCC baseball, but for a lot of kids, it's just not the same. And
so these private companies don't make special arrangements for low income?
They do a bit. They do give out scholarships, but it's the demand is far higher than the supply, really.
It's no question. And it's all due because of budget cuts. That's the primary thing. So that's why you have private sectors picking up on it.
At the same time as this is happening, we've eliminated PE from a lot of our schools because kids need to take less math.
I mean, you talk about academics and some of the underserved population. You know, they may not have the same motivation to stay in school as other people. They, their parents are working tons of jobs to feed them, and there's not a ton of accountability there. So one of the great ways to keep a kid in school is sports. I mean, how many kids come home saying my favorite topic in school is PE or after school sports? I mean,
PE, recessed lunch, my 3 favorite classes.
Easy. 1, 2, 3, for sure. If a kid wants to stay in school and start looking at school in a positive light, sports is a great way of doing that. I mean, they may come to, even if they're coming to school just because they get to play basketball after school, they're coming to school.
But as importantly, I mean, life lessons in terms of staying healthy as well as being able to get along with other people,
work ethic.
play well in the
and
sandbox.
people don't necessarily think about it, but the fact that our high schools are getting a lot bigger, that, used to be, there was very few high schools in the county, bigger than 2,000 students. Now there's a lot of them. It just means they still only have 1 football team, 1 soccer team for girls, 1 for boys, so that it means that really there's less opportunities for that whole group of kids to play because there's less, schools.
Even with the JV teams, it is. And that's why the community teams really supplemented all that. And I know a lot of big-time athletes today worked and played on those teams and help them grow so they could get into varsity and college. And be honest with you, you have some pros that didn't go to college, but because of their high school background and how well they did, made pro.
But even more important though than the elite kids, we need to have everybody playing sports. We've got to democratize this, get it back, which is what we had when I was growing up. And Max, you're leading the way. So how can people help?
Yeah, I mean, with school starting, a lot of people are getting back into youth sports. I know BCC baseball starting up a season. You got all the football leagues starting. There is a lot of equipment out in this county, in this community, whether it's sitting in a garage, in the backyard, cleats sitting in the closet.
Absolutely.
That's the type of stuff that should be donated to leveling the playing field. The way youth sports are now going is you have these youth programs, these boys and girls clubs. You have these neighborhood leagues that are coming up to allow these underserved kids to play sports. But it's all volunteer-based. It's all small nonprofits. So where are they going to get the $30,000 for equipment? The kids aren't coming to the field with the equipment, right? They can't afford it. So the league has to provide it all for them. So the service that we're providing is we're going into the community. We're collecting all this equipment from private schools, rec leagues, individual families, colleges, wherever we can get it. And we're donating it to a program to save them $30,000 so they can lower registration fees. They can offer more coaches, more teams. So really, the community can just help by spreading the word, making sure equipment isn't being thrown away. It's not sitting around collecting dust. It should be, give us a call, go to our website. We're very easy to work with. We pick up any equipment that you want. We'll come to your house. It's pretty easy to do. And
that's an important message because you have a lot of families who have invested in equipment, but their children have grown.
Oh, they grow.
And they have the equipment collecting dust or whatever.
Right.
And it's a great opportunity for them to.
No, what we've done, we've donated it to the next generation of kids in our neighborhoods.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you can't do that, I mean, get it to you because
I'm
why?
still hoping for grandkids, so I still have my cliques. So.
Do
you also want like home gym equipment, like treadmills and things of that?
Yeah, there are programs out there that are always looking for fitness stuff for sure. There's a lot of organizations that are focused on kids playing, kids fitness. So those are huge.
Those are huge. And what's huge is, unfortunately, our time has come to an end.
Oh, man.
I want to thank all of you for joining me today. And I want to thank all of you in the viewing audience for joining us for this week's edition of Montgomery Week in Review. I'm Don Mooers, asking you to please join us next week at this very same time.